But thank you again, everyone, for joining. Um, very excited to dive into all things StoryRaise today. My plan is to start out by running through an introduction of StoryRaise for anyone who may not be familiar with the platform. And then from there, we can dive into some of the use cases we have and jump into the actual platform to look behind the scenes, and also answer any questions you have. So that is the plan. If anyone has any questions throughout this time, feel free to unmute and ask, interrupt at any point, or go ahead and pop them in the chat as well. And I will pause and check that chat every once in a while to make sure I answer those questions. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to shout them out. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started diving into everything. All right. So just a little overview of StoryRaise. StoryRaise is a solution for organizations to create digital reports and videos. Our goal is really to help you increase donor engagement as you create web-based reports to show your audience how their gift is impacting your community and just how their relationship is really, furthering the mission of your organization. You'll be publishing a web page that includes stories, interactive elements like videos, and it's all mobile friendly, so your constituents can read it right on their cell phones. Our goal, like I said, is to help you create those reports so that they're engaging, because when they are engaging, that helps increase retention. And you're also able to track that engagement through things like metrics, which I'm actually going to give you a look at today behind the scenes. And so all that to say, to accomplish all of this, StoryRaise has templates and a drag and drop design tool. And if you are interested in StoryRaise, we actually help you accomplish this through onboarding and ongoing support through your dedicated customer success manager. And then an exciting new announcement as well. If you've been checking out StoryRaise, this is new. We're actually just about to release StoryRaise video. So very excited about that. That's a new product that will be coming out here shortly to pair with reports so that you can have even more engaging reports and create more personalized communications past just those initial reports that you're sending out. So if you have questions about that, I am happy to set up some additional time to check that out with you and also show you a fun preview of it and get some feedback from you as well. So just let me know. But before we dive in, that's a very brief overview of StoryRaise. Does anyone have any questions so far on that overview? All righty. All right. So then, like I said, we will start out by checking out some of the use cases of StoryRaise, some of the most popular ones from some of our customers. And then from there, dive into some examples so you can see some finished StoryRaise reports. And then from there, pop into the platform itself. When I'm sharing examples, I will share all of them with you post this demo. That way you can look at them at your own speed as well, because I know I tend to go through things a little quick just due to time. So just know you don't have to memorize anything today. You will get all of this information post demo. Well, on that note, I'm going to share my screen. We'll start out by checking out some of these templates, and then from there we will continue diving on through. So let me share here. All right, can everyone see my screen here? Awesome. So, let's start by talking about StoryRaise templates. So these templates were created based off some of the most common use cases of our customers. And we really wanted to give our customers a chance to create reports, not only from scratch, but also from a template to help, the creative juices flow so you don't have to just completely build everything on your own off the get-go. Like I said, you still have that option. So you can always build StoryRaise reports from scratch, but you can also start using a template, which is the most common way that our customers currently create these reports. So some of these are impact reports, annual reports, donor reports. So this is going to be like if you have maybe a really important donor or a major donor that you want to create a very specific report just for them based off their relationship with you, maybe their past giving over the past year. Solicitation reports. So if you want to create a report regarding one of your campaigns, or maybe a Giving Tuesday or some form of campaign drive that you're doing. Endowment reports. So I know not all organizations have endowments, but if you do, that is a common use case from the platform. You can connect to your CRM and actually drop in personal donor data to create a highly personalized report for your constituents. There's newsletters, philanthropy reports. So this typically is going to be like an overview of an opportunity that you have for somebody, or maybe you're doing a recap of a campaign, or like a Giving Tuesday or some kind of giving day that you're having, and you want to do a report at the end of it to just really talk about the impact that that day had. Pitch decks. This I've actually seen an uptick in this use case as of recently. Groups have been really enjoying using StoryRaise to create pitch decks for their donors to make an ask, to share information about different areas that they can support or opportunities for giving. This is a great tool because I've seen a lot of gift officers actually take like an iPad or maybe their laptop to a meeting with a donor, pull up this report, go ahead and share it with them, walk through it with them, and then send it to them after the meeting so they have a nice takeaway. Then there's event invitations. We all love those events. So if you want to go ahead and send out an invitation through the platform, this is actually one of my favorite templates. I'm going to share it here just real quick, just because I like it so much. But you can go ahead, pop all your event information in, including collecting RSVPs through a button or a form, and then pop in your information about an event. Maybe you have some special guests, and then add any additional information that may be helpful for anyone who's interested in attending. Let's pop back over to those templates. Event recap. So if you want to go ahead, say thank you for attending, or, sorry we missed you, but here's a recap of what happened at the event. And then thank yous. So a lot of our customers really enjoy using StoryRaise for thank yous. This is also my other favorite template, so I am going to show you this one. But here you can pop in a video of your choice. So maybe you have a video of students or patients, or maybe program staff or anything like that, and you want to pop in that video. And then you can add this note here. It looks like a handwritten note, so it still has that warm personal feel, but it's actually just regular type to text. So you can go in and put in any kind of message that you want to still have that personal message with that warm feel paired with that video. And then you can also pop in images and additional information if you want to. I know I briefly touched on StoryRaise Video, which we are getting ready to release, but this is actually a great opportunity for StoryRaise Video in a template like this, because with StoryRaise Video, you actually can create a personal video from a generic video. So maybe you have a CEO, a head of school, or maybe even yourself that you want to send a video out to a group of constituents. You can then have personal data merged onto the video so that it still gives a personal experience through text on the video itself. So for instance, if you have, let's take an independent school example. If you have your head of school that says, thank you so much for all of your support this year. You made such a big impact for our students. And then you have text on top of the video that says, Dear Carrie, or thanks, Jared, or you're so awesome, Diane, whatever information you want to put on there. And so even though that video itself is general, that experience can still be very personal. So using something like StoryRaise Video, you could pop in your personal video here, have your handwritten note, and then it's just the ultimate personalized experience. In the event that you don't have StoryRaise Video or any kind of video tool, you can just record it straight from your phone and pop it into StoryRaise as well. So it's very easy. Lots of options there. But that's an overview of our templates here. Like I said, if you do have any questions, feel free to interrupt, speak up, or pop them into the chat. I'm just going to look here real quick, see if we have any questions. Doesn't look like we do. All right. All right, so then, like I said, those are the templates. And then let's dive into some examples here. So let's talk about some of the reports that some of our customers have created. I have a few different examples here. We're actually going to start here with this impact report from Springwood School. So this is an independent school that we partner very closely with. They use StoryRaise for various use cases, but this one in particular is their annual impact report that they send out to all of their constituents. So on the left-hand side here, you have what I like to call the table of contents. So this is going to be all the different sections of your report. You fully create this, you customize what it says, what it looks like. You can just have it be a very easy way for your constituents to navigate through the report. Then looking here, you can see Springwood School does an awesome job at dropping in their branding and their content. So they drop in a video here. What's really cool about dropping in video into StoryRaise is that your videos will play here in this report. It will not take your constituents outside of the report, so they don't have to wrestle with tabs, do anything like that. It's all just here for them to go ahead and watch that video. And then there's a nice letter from the head of school, just to kind of overview that school year. And then their next section about us is where they start to dive into just a background of the school and then some of the highlights from the school year. Past that, they dive into some of the stats from the school year, which I think they do a really lovely job at making it very clear, very easy to read, very easy to digest. And then they dive into information about, Board of Trustees, some other individuals. Let's actually jump over to where they start to tell some of their impact stories. So in this report, when they talk about some of the highlights of the year, they talk about just really cool stuff that the students were doing throughout the year, as well as some testimonials from students and from a family associated with the school. I know in a lot of impact reports, a lot of groups like to include financials. So I'm going to show you here real quick how they do that. They pop in some info about revenues and expenses, and then they dive into their Springwood Fund, which is essentially their annual fund. And they talk about how those funds were spent, as well as close out with a nice giving opportunity. So quick overview of that report. Like I said, I will send these to you. So if I went through it a little quick, no worries, you will get all of these. Another example here is from Hawaii Community Foundation. This is one of my favorite reports because it's so beautiful. And of course, with it being from Hawaii, it will always be beautiful reports when they put them out. So here they actually have a fund update report where they put out a report to update the community on their Maui Strong Fund, which was a fund they created in response to the Maui fires that unfortunately hit the island. But this report is one of my favorites because it's done phenomenally in a way that not only do they talk about the problem, but they also talk about what's being done, how the funds are being used, and doing a really awesome job at stewarding their donors. So here on the left-hand side, you can see their table of contents here. And then they start out with a nice letter from their president CEO. And then from there, they start to dive into what the problem was with the Maui fires. How did it impact the community? And this is done in a very clean, easy to read way. That's very easy to digest. And then next, they start to talk about the programs. So some of the partnerships that were formed through these funds, as well as the impact made on the community. And then this next section here is where they dive into that support, and they do a nice job by sharing a nice video here. Again, we'll play right here in this report, as well as dive into some images and different stories and impact stories here. So like I said, I can include this, and I definitely encourage you to check out this report because it's so well done. Next, let's dive into an impact report from University of Michigan. And here you can see their table of contents here, but they do a great job from a higher ed perspective of sharing just the impact of the alumni programs through the year. So this is a letter from the president CEO of their alumni association. And then I really wanted to highlight this report because they did such a phenomenal job at sharing the statistics in a visually appealing, graphic-based way. That again is very easy to digest. And then they go into detail about these programs and the impact that is being made. They do a really wonderful job telling their stories, as well as, again, sharing the impact and the success throughout the year from that engagement. So I will share this one as well. And you can tell on all these reports, they're very different based off who the organization is. And that's because you're able to fully drop in your own branding, fully design the way that this content appears, and you're able to make sure that it's fully yours, fully has the experience that you want to have your constituents experience based off your branding and your mission. So that's another one. And then last, here, before I dive into a personalized example, this is an impact report from 4-H. Really phenomenal report as well. So you can see their table of contents here. And they dive into some of the overview of the year with this nice message from their CEO about the impact of the year. And then they dive into those programs as well. So again, very different from the other reports, just based off of the branding and the programs that are offered, but it's really well done. And they do a great job at including multiple videos. So like you can see there's videos based on the various programs. That way they can pair that story with an actual video story. That way they can keep that text smaller, not so word heavy, easier to digest for their constituents. And also video is always a really nice way to get that very personal touch across so that people feel connected to the stories that are being told.
Sabrina, it looks like we've got a question in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
Diane asks, are you going to show us how these reports are created using your platform?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll dive into that right after this next report. We'll pop into the actual builder and show you how these are created and what that looks like. Awesome. So then last but not least, I do want to give you a snapshot of personalization within StoryRaise. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but with StoryRaise, you can actually connect to your donor CRM database, or you can upload donor data using a CSV file. But you can put this information into a report to create a highly personalized experience, even if you do have a general report. So kind of like we saw here when we were looking at these annual reports or even the fund update report. Overall, it is a general report, but you can drop in things like variable data and segmentation to segment that information based off of different features like, you know, where does someone give, or what is their relationship like with your organization? You know, are they a grandparent? Are they a donor? Are they an alumni? What does that look like? But here I'm going to show you what a report looks like for a donor named Sarah, and then what it looks like for a donor named John, so you can just see the difference. And again, I will share this with you so you can kind of play around with it, toggle through the various donors and see the difference. But I have my table of contents here. Then when I go down here to the welcome letter, you can see it says, Dear Sarah. And then when I go to the spotlight section, I'm segmenting my stories based off where this donor gives. So you can see Sarah likes to support capital campaigns. So Sarah's going to see the story of this building as well as this messaging associated with it. But then if I go to my donor John here, I can actually see where it says Dear John. And then when I go to the story section, it's going to show you a story based off orange textbooks because that's what John likes to give to. So personalization can vary based off what you're looking to accomplish. It can be as high level as just having that first name, Dear John, or it can be as in-depth as segmenting these stories based off of what that relationship looks like. So if you have, I see this very commonly with different organizations that have program staff and they want to show program stories based off of what type of programs that donor gives to. Or if it's a school, they like to share it based off of the areas of campus that a donor gives to. For healthcare, we see it a lot based off of grateful patient stories. So tying those stories to the type of funds or areas that your donors are giving to within your health related organization. So,
Sabrina, we've got one more question in the chat.
mhm.
Could you show what the PDF versions will look like as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely share that. And we will do that here next. Before we dive into that report builder, does anyone have any other questions you want to throw out there that I can pause and answer real quick? All right. Well, let's dive in then. Here in the platform, let's pop back into it. This is your home screen. So this is going to be where all of your reports live. Very easy to navigate. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to have your constituents tab. This is going to be where all of your constituent information lives, whether you're tied to a CRM, you upload that info through CSV, completely up to you, but all that information will live here and is editable. This tab is your Insights tab. So this is our metrics page. Let's dive into one real quick here so that you can see kind of what our metrics look like. So this is a general report. General reports will have a metrics dashboard that looks a little different than a personalized report, and I'll explain those differences here. So for this general report, you're going to see number of opens, average sections viewed, as well as top regions by views. You'll see average time spent, average time per section. If it's personalized report, you'll actually see who your top constituents are by engagement score. The reason we don't just list out who are, the individuals that opened your report the most is because someone could open up that report, leave it just open on their device, and then there's really no engagement coming from it. So we have this fancy little engagement score that we created that's going to look at things like, is the report open? Did they click around in it? Did they share? What kind of interactions did they have with it? And that's going to build out that engagement score for you. But if you are interested in seeing, who opened your report the most or anything like that, this is where Sammy the Sloth comes into play. So here is Sammy. This is our mascot. Sammy's also over here, if you can see him there. But this is AI Sammy. AI Sammy will answer any question that you have. So you can come in here, use any of these prompts that we provide. So what sections reviewed the most, what sections reviewed the least, things like that. Or you can pop in any question that you have and Sammy will spit that answer back out at you. This allows you to track ROI in the way that's the most impactful to you, and make sure that you're able to really see the data that you're interested in. Things like what sections reviewed the most, what sections reviewed the least. That's very popular amongst our customers because it actually helps you understand what areas your constituents seem to care about the most. And then that way you can really start to tailor your reporting around the metrics that you're able to dig into and the information that you're able to see. And so then we have a brand kit. All of our marketing folks love this, but you can come in, you can add all of your own colors, fonts, logos, photos, any content that you have, you can pop into the platform. Then it's very easy to use when you're building out those reports. And something that's really cool is you can actually go in into your template and blanket apply your branding to those templates so that you're not having to go in, edit every single text box, every single, background color, things like that. It does it for you, which will definitely save you time. So let's pop into that report builder. So let's dive into this impact report. So this is based off of one of the templates that I showed you earlier, but the way the builder works is it's set up on a drag and drop system. So you're going to collect that content in the back end through all of your different relationships that you have, and then you're going to have that information that you can then drop into the report. So it's set up on a drag and drop system in that you can come in, you can plug in your info, or you can go to this block library here and drag over any of these block templates that we have. So maybe you want to add a gallery here. You can just take it, drag, drop it in, and it's ready for you to go ahead and start plugging everything in. It's very simple in the sense of you're literally just popping in your text. You can come here to things like images and just upload your images straight into the platform. We also have some really cool AI features. So you can have AI built graphics. So you can see down here, generated media, AI generated media. So you can go in, pop in a topic of your choice, and then go ahead and have that populated into the report. A lot of groups like to use this if you need any kind of just kind of background images, things like that. I know sometimes, especially in the independent school world, or even sometimes in the healthcare world, it can be a little difficult to get those photos of students or patients or things like that. So having that ability to have generated media or stock media like we have as well can be helpful in that sense. Another tool we have when it comes to AI, which is one of my favorite tools, is that you can actually use AI to improve your text or help you write your text. So if you have writer's block, not a big deal at all. You can come in, tell AI what you're wanting to write about, and it will help you create something. I love to use this when I build reports. We recently did an exercise at our team retreat where we were all asked to build a report about something we cared about. I, of course, built a report about my dog. He's back here. I don't know if you can see him, but I went into the AI text builder. I said, tell me a story about a happy dog who loves his life, and it spit out a really cool story for me. So definitely a cool piece there. When we're in this builder here, I was talking about branding. You have a lot of ways you can actually make sure that your branding and everything is reflected. So you have a very simple formatting set here with colors or text, including size, spacing, things like that. But if you want to go and even more in depth, you can actually come up here. You can go to the styles tab, and then you can really dive into the background if you want to. So you can go as high level or as in depth as you want, but either way, you absolutely can accomplish any branding goals that you have within the platform.
Sabrina, there's one more question in the chat, which I'm sure you'll get to. It says, can you show how to create one from scratch for the first time? For example, if you haven't built a prior report yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'll show you exactly what that looks like when you build from scratch. But it's going to be very similar in the sense of you'll have these block libraries and things like that you'll then plug in and essentially build your own type of template. But with that, this will help here too. When you're in these templates, whether it's the block template or just straight from that template screen we looked at earlier, you can always edit these templates. So these are all the different content builders that we have. You can always change these up. So for instance, I have this image, but if I want to insert text before the image, I can insert a text block, things like that. So even if you have a template you're working off of, you can always switch it up and tweak it to make it exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, we'll circle back to that for sure. I want to show you that PDF feature here. So up here, you can see all the different ways that you can view a report. And so here you can view what it will look like on a desktop, like a laptop, what it will look like on a tablet, as well as what it will look like on mobile. So everything will stack, be mobile friendly. But then here also, this is the PDF view. So I always say, if you want a PDF version of your report, always edit in this PDF style. And the reason for that is because then when you're done with that report, you don't have to make any changes. It's fully PDF friendly, and you can go ahead and just produce that PDF. So for every digital report you create, you get 3 different versions of that report. You get your PDF version, your digital version, and also your website embed version. So you don't have to make any changes for those things. They're automatically produced for you. But so as you go through, you can see there's different things like landscape PDF boundary. It'll give you a couple of guidelines like that. Just follow those as you're building and it'll be good to go. But when I come here to preview and I go open PDF preview, it's going to show me exactly what this PDF is going to look like when it's ready to go. I know it looks a little funny right now because I don't have everything plugged in, but it will be high resolution, full bleed. You can either save it to your desktop to go ahead and send out and print from in-house, or you can always send it to a printer if you want to as well.
Sabrina, we have a question asking, is that in landscape?
So this is in landscape, but you can see right here, I always have the option to click portrait as well. So you have both options depending on what you're particularly looking for. But let's see here. And then when I go back to this editing capability, when I go to share, this is where I can actually pull those embed codes for my website. And then one of my favorite things about the platform here is that when I go to publish, this says republish because I've published this once before, but I get my URL that I can then take and send out through my email system. That way I can send it out to everybody. We are getting ready to release the ability to email out reports through StoryRaise as well. So you will have that option in addition. So you can either go ahead, send it out through here, or put it into your email system and send it out that way. So it will have some more options here shortly. But as far as this URL goes, the reason I love this, I used to do reporting for higher ed, and call it Murphy's Law or whatever you want to call it. But when you publish those reports, almost always you go back through it, even though you've looked at it a million times, and you find something that went wrong with it. Here, when you do it digitally, you can go ahead, say you send this out to 5,000 constituents, but then you go back through it and you're like, oh no, I found this typo, or maybe my story wasn't inserted the way I wanted it to. You can then go back into the platform, make those edits, come here and click publish updates. And then from that point forward, anyone that opens up your URL is going to see that new updated report, not that old report that had those errors on it. And what's great about it is you don't have to resend out your URL. You don't even have to let anyone know. You can completely fly under the radar, but they will see your perfect report from that point forward. So very little detail, but very important detail. Over here too, on the left, this is where we edit up those sections that we were looking at earlier on those examples. So this is where you can change the graphics, change the names, and really get those table of contents sorted. Something else too to point out is that maybe you don't want a table of contents in your report, and that is totally okay too. You can always choose to not have a table of contents so that it just has like a one-pager look that is more of like a website feel versus the report feel of the table of contents and things like that. I'm going to pause here before I give a snapshot of what it looks like building a report from scratch. Are there any questions I can answer before we move on to that area? Feel free to shout them out or pop them in the chat. All right. Well, then let's dive into real quick here this background area where you can actually build a report from scratch. So if I come here and I click from scratch, this is going to give me the option to create a builder. And then you can see it takes all that template information, everything that we were just looking at, and just gives you one screen to start. And so I have a couple little prompts here that it's going to give me for where I can select the type of report I want to build, because this will point me towards a template to give me a little bit of help. But maybe I don't want that. I can go ahead and just click dismiss, and then I'm really starting from scratch. Here's where it's going to ask me what type of styles I want. So this is where I can choose my branding if I've dropped it in, or I can make changes to it and make it look differently if I want. But I'm going to go ahead and say that looks good. And then here's my first slide that StoryRaise automatically produces. I can come in here, change it up, and let's just call it report. And then I can come in here and start building out my template using these blocks. Another AI feature we have here is that, say none of these blocks have what you're looking for, you can actually describe your block here in the platform and it will spit out a block at you. So maybe you say, I want a block that has an image with a story and a section for a video, and then it'll go ahead and pop that out for me. But here it has just this basic technique of a letter, things like that. So it pops in these basic blocks, but I can always come in and I can delete them and completely start from scratch in that sense. The point of these here, where it has these generic ones, is to show you what these blocks look like to help you get familiar with the platform. So this one is called stats. You can see we have stats right here, and it's showing you, hey, here's what the stats blocks look like. So I always recommend just looking at them really quick to get an idea of what you are wanting, and then go ahead and start dragging and dropping. So if I have my intro here and I looked through this and I said, actually, I'm ready for a highlight, I can just drag, drop, and start plugging and playing my information. You can also add things like buttons, videos, all of that. So again, if I have this info here, but I want to make it more of what I'm looking for, I can come over here, go embed after for a video, and then I can go ahead and pop in my video. So a lot of flexibility within the platform to make sure you're designing exactly what you're looking for, as well as the ability to fully edit it up and make sure you're popping in your own text, your own buttons, your own images, videos, things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and pause here. We have about 5 minutes left, I believe, and I would like to pause for questions. Is there anything that you would like to know a little bit more about? I can also walk through another area or re-walk through anything if that would be helpful. But I now will open it up to all of you for anyone that has questions.
Hi, Sabrina. Did you say that there was like a library of content that you could choose from, like examples of like testimonials or certain types of storytelling?
So when you're asking that question, are you saying like block type information that you can drop in, or is it like content, like the actual testimonial that maybe you've collected in the past or something like that?
Yeah, like if one or two of us on the team wanted to create a library for like the larger team to choose from, is that a
Mhm.
possibility?
Yeah, so right now we are getting ready to release a product called StoryRaise Collect, and that's where all of you can collect all of your information through the platform itself, and then you can actually have it live within StoryRaise. I'm happy to send info on that over to you too to give you a snapshot of what that looks like, and then kind of show you that part if that would be helpful.
Yeah. So for right now, you just would type everything directly into the template.
Without StoryRaise Collect connected to the platform, yeah, you would just go ahead and drop it in.
Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions I can answer?
There's a question in the chat from Diane. It's a long one if you wanna take a look yourself.
Yeah. Um, awesome. So Diane asked, would like to know who is your competitor. She's asking if Canva is one and why you created this particular platform. What need did you see not available in other products that led to you creating this platform? That's a great question, Diane. So our co-founders created this platform because they were working in nonprofit marketing and they were doing a lot of storytelling and they couldn't find a product that fully met their needs in a way that was fully focused on nonprofits and the education space, healthcare, all of that. And so they came together, they created StoryRaise. I think our entire team, Deanna, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the entire team has a background in nonprofits. In
Yes.
yes, in storytelling in some capacity. So our team is extremely passionate about this space and making sure that we are serving this group of individuals versus prioritizing like a for-profit space or something like that. So as far as some of the different areas that we are different than someone like Canva that we particularly invest a lot of time and energy into is one, our ability to be mobile friendly. So a product like Canva is not going to be mobile friendly. And we recently did a survey and found that about 60% of constituents are opening and interacting with reports on a mobile device. So, everyone knows how much everybody's tied to their phones. So that mobile experience is really important. Additionally, Canva is going to create something that is PDF related. So that product is going to be a PDF, which is not going to give you the metrics information that StoryRaise is going to provide you with. And it's also not going to have the same formatting experiences. So going back to like the mobile experience, I'm sure everybody here has experienced the pinch and zoom on a PDF. So the good old pinch and zoom where you're looking at that PDF on your phone. StoryRaise stacks and makes that experience easy versus like a PDF. Additionally, because we're focused on reporting, StoryRaise is going to have different capabilities than products like that. When I look at other products as a whole, so not just focusing on Canva, the biggest differences are going to be, like I said, that mobile friendly leading, those metrics, the branding capabilities within the platform, as well as the ability to integrate with CRMs, which I will touch on that here in just 1 second. And then also the background of our team who has experience in these areas, and we have a really robust customer success team that's there to help along the way. So StoryRaise is definitely not a platform where we come in, you sign up and we say, good luck, let us know how it goes. We have a wonderful team that will be there to help every step of the way. We love to celebrate your reports with you. Your first report is always a really big deal here at StoryRaise, so we celebrate that with you. We're also there to help if any issues arise, as well as, help you with strategy and things like that. So those would be some of the big differences. And then circling back to the CRMs, yes, we do integrate with CRMs. So we are a preferred Blackbaud partner, which means that our development team has partnered with Blackbaud's development team and created a very easy to use, robust integration with all of the Blackbaud products. Sorry, stumbling over here. The Blackbaud products. And it's very simple. So for instance, in something like Razor's Edge NXT, you can just download that tile, log into StoryRaise, and it will connect them very seamlessly. If you're not a Blackbaud partner, that's totally okay. We partner with all CRMs that have an open API, and we offer white glove data mapping. So our team will actually sit down with you and say, great, what information do you want StoryRaise to be able to use within reports? They'll make sure that all the bases are covered, and they will actually build out that communication between your CRM and StoryRaise. So you won't have to deal with any of it, but they'll make sure it has all the information that you're looking for. In the event you want that information in StoryRaise, but you don't want to fully connect those CRMs, you also have the option to just upload a CSV file with whatever information you're looking to use. I know some organizations that have, highly sensitive data, particularly like healthcare groups, things like that. They prefer to do the CSV because they feel a little more comfortable with managing the data that goes back and forth. But you have both options, and you can even switch off between the two. So some reports you can use an integration, some reports you can use a CSV file. Totally up to you. And then let's see. Jared, as far as do we integrate with Virtuous? Yes. And what I can do too, let me make a note of that. I can check with our development team to give more detail on exactly what that integration looks like with them. And I can follow up with you with that info. And then any security features, password access for reports. Yes, Carrie. So we do offer password protection for reports. I know that's popular with our higher ed groups with their endowment information because of the, sensitivity of the financials. But yes, we can do password protection for those reports if that's something you're looking for. Awesome. Any other questions? Great. Well, I will follow up with all of you to just give you all the details of the resources that we looked at today. Additionally, I'll follow up with you individually on any of these questions that you had in particular. And then I'm always happy to set up more time to talk with you or your teams or answer any questions you have. And you'll have all my information too. So if anything pops up, send my way and we will continue the conversation. But I really appreciate everybody's time. It was great to see everybody. And thank you. And I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.